Hello and welcome to Soul Love with Kimness. I am Kim van der Zande, your host, and I'm super excited to share another episode of Soul Love with you, where we share inspirational and empowering stories from the heart. We talk about the beauty and the shadows as both are part of the ascension journey, to remind you that you are powerful, you are magical, and to have trust in what you feel to be true deep within. Enjoy this next episode of Soul Love. Before we start the next Soul Love conversation, I want to invite you to check out my amazing book, Activating the Flower of Love, a sacred guide for manifesting your deepest desires and highest calling. This sacred book, filled with powerful tools and activations, will guide you to open your heart to the beauty and wisdom within you, empowering you to create the life you deeply desire from the foundation of love. You can find Activating the Flower of Love in all the major online and offline bookstores in ebook or paperback, or you can check it out through my website, kimness.nl, where you can also discover the different ways of working with me and the latest updates on new starting programs. Enjoy this next episode of Soul Love. Welcome everyone to a new episode of Soul Love, and today I'm honored and excited to share a sacred conversation with Johannes Leerink, and I welcome you within this sacred space.
Nou, dankjewel. Thank you for inviting me, family member.
Yes, it's really, we are, how do I say in English, a nephew of my mom, so it's really, we're family, and I really love what you're sharing in the world and the things you're anchoring, and I think in the same way, like if you follow Johannes on LinkedIn, you see beautiful posts. I love your post, and maybe that's a beautiful entry of this conversation you shared yesterday about how our challenges are a doorway into a deeper parts of ourselves, or a deeper, and how that in your own journey evolved, how you came to that realization and how it helped you to make the shift to feel empowered. Or
Yeah, that's a nice part, because I like to share my journey more than anything else, and I think that helps, because when people recognize it, it's better to not be alone and know that you're all on a journey. Nobody is perfect and ready.
No. No, it's not. Yeah. So maybe you can share, because I know of your journey and people can read it in the bio, but you went from a very good job into a deeper, like a search for a deeper fulfillment, a deeper meaning. And
I can. I think the story should start when I was nearly 4.
Yes. Going way back, yes.
Yes, at 35 I discovered this, but it's important, because I was born in a happy family, so there was nothing really, like traumatizing or whatever, but the mind always makes trauma. So what happened is, I was 3 years old, and close to my birthday, and I was excited about that. Of course, in a couple of days it would come, and we were drinking tea, I remember, with my mother and my grandmother, and my mother had a big stomach, so she was of course pregnant, but I thought she had a big, and she wanted to tell me, and she said, yeah, Johannes, maybe on your birthday there is another brother or sister in the family. And don't you think that's a big present? And my grandmother's a bit cynical, so she said, well, then you don't need any other presents, eh? And I felt a bit the cynical humor, so it really hurt, because she said that, because my mind, my voice in my head, this is probably the first time I discovered I have a voice in my head, went into panic. It said, oh, they're trading me in for another. They're gonna leave me. And the panic in my head said, oh, you have to do something about it, and found a solution. And that's a very eager way to be. That's how your talent started. So at that moment, this painful moment, the mind told me, you're not good enough. You should show the world that you are. And the pain that remained with me. And a couple of days later, of course, my brother was born. My birthday was not that interesting anymore. So I got some proof that they were trading me in. Peter, my brother, was sitting, the poor brother, was sitting on the lap of my mother, the place I wanted to sit. So for me, was it clear that life was really now going downwards. A couple of weeks later, I was sent out of the house. So for me, it was clear they traded me in. I'm not good enough. I have to survive and make sure people see me.
Yes.
Well, when you're 4, you go to the kindergarten. But anyway, for me, that was like the proof.
Yes.
I was sent out.
Yes, I get that as a child.
Yeah. And that started off a whole journey. And it ended up at 26, I started working. And 10 years later, I made a lot of people do that, but I was very, very ambitious. So I really made like these days you would call it a manifest, like you manifest something, you wanna manifest something. In 10 years, I will be a president of a multinational corporation. And I even knew which one and where. And 9.5 years later, I was, which normally would take 20 years or so. I was. So that's all nice, of course. But the point is in a program of Landmark, well, it doesn't matter, but it was a very powerful program where you got a lot of self-reflection because there were 100 people, there were 200 something people sharing their life. And they sort of worked as a mirror. And there I suddenly saw that I was proving my mother I was worth it. That was the main drive beyond all that ambition. There was, it was all great to have it, but I couldn't enjoy. I thought freedom would be there at the top, but it wasn't. There was some independence, but no freedom. And I saw it and oh my gosh. And that opened up a whole world like, oh, how this voice in your head starts to create a persona that's not good enough, that needs to survive, and a talent, right? I had a talent, which is proving the world is wrong. I'm the best.
Yeah.
So the talent was there, but every time my talent succeeded, there was a little hurt boy at the same time because that persona kept being fed with those successes. And that insight was like life-changing because it's like an inner world that creates the outer world. And despite all the pleasure and the success, I could never be really satisfied and calm. And still it's hard. But anyway, at that time, it was a big, 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 big insight. And that left me to a whole different journey in my life. A year later or 2 years later, I quit this whole career and started, well, in those 2 years, I didn't do anything than training myself to deliver programs like that and making an impact to other people.
Yeah.
And at one point, 2 years later, the insight came, wow, if all organizations and businesses, because I was in business, would be operating from this holistic perspective I got now, man, the world would be different, but also it would be going very much better. Life would be much better, but also economically they would flourish because you have so many blind spots. And you could see 4 years old running multinational companies. I was one of them. So I started a whole, call it consulting business, but it was a leadership program. We committed to the outcomes and the businesses of those people. And the way we did it is by freeing them of their constraints from the past. So we did full transformation, but we hided it in a package for results. And it always delivered the results, but in the end, most people were much more touched by what happened to them, than what the results were.
They could enjoy maybe more on a deeper level than they would have done before. Yeah.
They were more connected to each other, more connected to themselves. The conversations became richer, but also the innovation and especially when you I've worked in about 15 countries with more than 150 organizations or so. You see that in those organizations where they have to work with like 6 or 7 cultures, it went so much better once they got transformed. And what I mean is they saw reality versus all those screens this voice in your head basically gives you. It's like perspectives that are blocking you from seeing reality. They judge and divide the world. And once you discover that that's not you, but it's just your programming, this voice in your head, repeating past traumas, people can start working together. So it does connect them, but also innovation and speed went very, very much better. Yeah. And I have done this for 10 years, 11. And then I found, I met a spiritual partner where I ended up doing a buyout and ending up or making our own organization. And then we deepened the work a lot more to the, well, we can talk about it, but to how is this whole, it's kind of a natural law of how perception works. That's what we discovered. And this natural law of once you can teach people that in their own experience, this is how you make sense of things. Your senses make sense, right? That's why they're called senses. They don't see reality, they interpret things. How that always mechanically goes, that sets people totally free, because then you can watch it. So that's what we've done. And we have then worked for 10 years in a hospital system, building very close to where we met in Ude, where they've built a whole hospital together with the director who I knew from 10, 15 years before, where we started working. And he wanted to make a difference in the hospital system. And we built a hospital built on love instead of mechanics.
I love that. Yes, I love that. Yes. But I think going back to the start of your journey, and I think a lot of us can relate, like sometimes we don't even see like, okay, I didn't really have very big traumatic experience when I was younger. I had a couple, but it's more like understanding that sometimes it can be seen from our grown-up self, these very insignificant moments. But as a child, they were so profound that they created like these whole patterns that still keep repeating as an adult until we say stop. And it also, I love as you share, because I think that's an important key. Sometimes we only see the trauma, but it also, as you shared, it gave you a gift, the drive to go after what you wanted and the whole journey that it led you towards. But it's understanding that most of these things are very subtle, but they are still playing out. And
yeah, they're still, and they keep work. Basically, it's the working of your earthly life. So it's not going away. I can share from last 3 months. The same thing came up again. But the point is, the moment you get it, as you said it, it's really important, because there's nothing wrong with my talents, but every time that talent starts automatically to kick in, the pain of that moment comes back. So that's what the work is not to remove your talent, but take away the other side of it. The judgment this little Johannes made was a valid interpretation, but was an interpretation that wasn't sound. My mother loved me to pieces. There was no problem. It was all made up. The one who made it up was a little fellow, a little voice in my head that kept talking. And the way you keep the misery going, and that's how we go through life, is you have somebody does something to you, even if it's very bad, it's only once. But most people make it lifetime misery. How do you do that? You're like enslaved to the experience, because what happens is something is done badly to you, but that's 20 years ago, and in my versions lots of times ago. But what happens is, when you get language, you get a programming language. So the language can make sure you judge yourself and others. So you say, I will hate him, I will never work with him, or whatever. I will not, you know,
Yeah.
I regret it, I hate him. And the one who's miserable, that's what people miss, is you.
Yes.
Not the other person is going happily through life, not knowing that you have a miserable life, not for once, but forever.
Yeah.
And seeing that you keep generating and I kept generating the misery myself, yeah, that's the most liberating thing you can
It
encounter.
is. Yeah. And I think there's the shift, because sometimes we feel like, okay, why should I do all of this inner work? And it's this ever spiral where I keep seeing things in a deepening layer. What is the benefit of it all? But it is the empowering thing that we can change it ourselves, and we become more resilient and bounce back more quickly. But it starts with the awareness. And what I notice in my own journey as well, the more I embody love, the more I start to love myself. I'm also being invited to look at deeper parts. But those deeper parts is not like, okay, I'm going to sit here and I'm going for healing. No, life will show us. But it's a different perspective. When you get challenged, when you get triggered, it means, for me at least, it means something in my field is being triggered. If I didn't have a trigger, it wouldn't even bother that someone would have said something like that. So it's an opportunity to shift something. It's not for me, it's stepping out of the resistance. So we can keep resisting life, or we can keep resisting challenges or triggers. No, accept them, say yes to them, because that's the bravery we are being invited into. And then things start to shift and things start to open. And then we step into this next level, instead of, okay, I'm keep repeating the same old, and it shows up in different ways or in different, yeah.
Yeah, nicely said. Very well said. And
But
yeah,
I'm also curious, like, how did the evolution, like you had a beautiful silence retreat a couple of weeks ago,
yeah,
but how did that shift within you to really be in this moment of stillness, but then also to be back in your life again
yeah,
after, yeah.
yeah, yeah. This is I think totally the fifth time I did it. But it never, well, it's always different. But
Yeah.
why I would do it is because the in the silence the real communication starts. And when you're there 10 days for 10 hours meditating, you get a technique called Vipassana. That's the one I did. But
Yeah.
For me, it's important because I have done all this work. The first time I went there in Vipassana, it gave me like a totally missing link, you could say. I knew that without integrity, nothing works. That's
Mhm.
part of my work for the last 25 years. So you can always look at where there is no integrity in your life, where you don't relate to life in a way that works, because then you cannot meditate, things will fall apart. You can always work that. And I also know a lot about wisdom, which is basically changing your perspective, like we just talked. But I never got it on the deeper level. And this time again, I sat there and I basically discovered that you can talk about it forever. You can write books about it. You can give courses about it. But as the Buddha said, in the end, you just need to sit down and,
Yeah.
and say, okay, I'm not going to leave till I'm enlightened. Well, don't let me do that, because after a couple of hours, I will stand up. But
Yeah.
it's preparing for that. So the point is, wisdom is only wisdom if you can experience it in the framework of your body.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really important. So if you see that everything that comes and goes, especially, of course, the pain when you sit and the boredom and the mind that goes crazy, that if you can watch it and not intervene, but equanimously just notice this one is coming,
Mm-hmm.
see how long this one lasts, and you will see it go. So basically, you surrender to the moment and not
Yeah.
fight it. Or when there's ecstasy, what happened after 25 hours, I had a totally ecstatic hour or more where there's no thoughts, total nirvana. And
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the day after, the pain starts and everything is totally different. And then the mind, of course, says, "Where is this nirvana? It doesn't work, you know. There's I'm entitled to," and etc. And the whole point is, no, things come and things go. And the point is, if you're addicted to highs, to experiences, to all those lights, you're just as addicted as someone who's totally depressed and addicted to his depressed thoughts. And in my life, it's both. Like, where, oh, I want these good feelings. No, notice that they are there and be equanimous. And notice that when you have very depressed thoughts, and that's when I came back, of course, there's like a fall from the heaven.
Yes.
And I was alone at home, and it was dark, it was cold, and no one was there. So I felt like depressed and totally down, and etc. And yeah, the beautiful stuff is then that you get a dream. The dream tells you exactly, oh yeah, this is, you went off again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those thoughts had you, and there you go. And suddenly, yeah, so you recover a lot faster. That's, I think, the key thing, because you start to see it. It's really the show of the senses.
Mm-hmm.
And your senses make sense of the world, and how they do it is they crave or they have aversion, and then it doesn't matter which one, a program comes, and combined with emotions, thoughts, feelings, etc. And the moment you can stay in the seat of self, just watch that body go off or be ecstatic or whatever, in all cases, you're free. Freedom is there, not in the ecstatic, not in the drama.
No, but it's in the awareness. I love as you shared, and also just in general life. I think if we would grow up and we would have learned the power of our emotions, and but most of us have learned to stuck to, like, when we have an ecstatic emotion, don't be too loud. When we are crying, oh, it's okay, just silently, quickly. But in that, we contract our energy. And I think I've never sat for 10 days meditation. I think respect for that. But just in general life as well, when we can just witness the emotion without judging it, without blaming, shaming, or pushing it away. And if we feel like crying, we cry. If we feel like yelling, dancing, whatever, like, let that flow. And you'll notice that it moves through you and it doesn't get stuck, and you go into the next. But I think it's the attachment to, okay, I feel so happy and I always want to hold on to this, or I feel, like, it's the attachment and the contraction, and also the control sometimes of the mind, like, I need to have this, instead of really being present in life. And I think as you're meditating that long, it is the presence. It's okay, I'm just willing to be here, to sit here, and to
Yes, you're training basically your one-pointedness of mind, to sit in the place that you really are, instead of being wiped into all those emotions. And I always keep saying, because that's my background, it's also handy for business people, or people in just working in this society, because you're constantly hijacked by cravings and by, we have to make this goal, and people get like, and we go there. And in that mode, you don't get very innovative. You probably push other people away, who then will work against you. So it's not effective. We have found that in all those cases, that once we could release that in groups, in people, in teams, in organizations, the results go like sky high. And of course, the engagement level and the happiness level of all the people is much better. So you attract the right people.
Yes.
It's really amazing. In this hospital I talked about, is a very shortage of people, but especially in the south, in those regions, people always want to live near the big cities. And since they did this whole transformation, it's just people who study, they hear about this hospital and they just want to work there. You get a whole other kind of people. And secondly, you have less issues. You still have issues, but less issues with finding people. So it works also in a very rational, earthly way. And that's
but
also
in many, because when we are connected to ourselves, we take responsibility. So there's less less challenges in that way, but also when we are like, as you said, like okay, we set this goal, we need to reach it. Already a part of us goes into the tunnel vision of that. And like, even if you look practical, parts of our brain shut down because we're so focused on that. So the creative part shuts down. Our physical body, like also if you look at the regenerative systems of our body, it goes down because it's not needed when we're fixed on this point. So a lot of things. So if we're also more healthy, more happy, more, we can think like, okay, it's something spiritual. No, it's being happy, it's being connected to yourself. That's the most natural thing. Like, and from that we totally interact differently with the world. So I love that perspective and the shift. And it's not per se something on only the spiritual path, or it can help on so many levels in our lives and in business. I think that's such a beautiful part to
that's basically what I now have since a year. The hidden transit is basically accumulation of my journey of 25 years. People who are successful have tried everything like I did, but still feel there's something missing. You have done all the cool programs, the coaches, the whatever you have done, and still something is missing. That's for them to make a transit to this place of peace, calm, but also effectiveness. So that's it was a challenge to make a program where people can, in 4 months' time, make a whole transit to well, from this craving, from this unrest, from the stress. I have to being centered, effective, and having breakthroughs also in your life, not only with your family and children, but also your career. But people seem to make the transit. It's very nice to see that you can give people the tools. It takes 4 or 5 months of work they have to do, but we have basically cut it all down, cut all the crap out, and really cut it down to the 3 building blocks that you really need. And then after that, it's a lifetime commitment, of course, but then people are strong enough to keep it up. That's what I found. And then you made the shift, or how you want to call it.
I love that. But they're benefiting of your 25 years of moving through the layers. And like that's what I notice in my own journey as well. I like practice what you preach. It's what you like. I don't have the answers, but I can only share what I went through. And in that, it gets to inspire people, and it gets to motivate them to go within, because it's in this, but it's holding space, and it's so I love that. I think that's really, really beautiful. So if people want to work with you, because I will share your links and your bio and your LinkedIn profile below, how can they connect with you, and how can they?
I think they can just send me a message on LinkedIn. That's the easiest. Check the website and see if it resonates. I would always check it all out and see if that's something for you. You will know very fast. We are not into selling anything. We have also public meetings, but that's only in Holland at this moment. Maybe we will have other countries soon. And that's like, I call it the AA for people who are, the anonymous alcoholics, for people who are enslaved to their voice in their head. And I'm one of them. And we can start sharing, well, I'm too. I rather listen to my voice in my head than to you.
I love it.
And that brings a space of peace and surrender. It's amazing. But that's only for live meetings. So people can best reach out on LinkedIn and check the website.
And I think it's beautiful to have such a safe space where you can share on that such a deep level, because a lot of the world is not ready for that. There's still, and that's okay, everyone its own journey, but really it helps if you have a group that understands and feels you. And so thank you. If there was one last thing you would want to give as an advice to everyone listening, tuning in.
Oh, good. Well, no, be happy. That's the key thing. And watch that after, when it's going really, really bad, remember that it's all temporarily. It will, the moment you can stay with the going bad and not resist it, it will give you some excitement later.
Yes.
So really be with it and stay with it, please.
And stop resisting because it moves quicker. I think that's really a beautiful thing. So thank you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom in this beautiful conversation, and everyone tuning in. Thank you for being here. Please follow, like, subscribe, whatever way aligns for you, but it really helps the show to be more visible. So for now, I'm just sending you much love, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next Soul Love podcast. So bye for now. Bye. Thank you for joining this episode of Soul Love. If you want to find out more about what we do, you can find it below. And I'll see you in the next episode. Much love.